I want to talk about something that I've struggled with my whole entire life. Motivation versus discipline. Because for as long as I can remember, I have always been motivated, and I'll get these waves where I feel unstoppable. I'll plan everything. I'll be doing so good, and I swear that this time is going to be different. I swear. And then like 2 weeks later, it'll just all disappear and go right back to how it was, like as if nothing happened. And I literally used to think that something was wrong with me, but nothing's wrong with you. And if you are going through the same thing that I am going through with this, then stay tuned for the rest of this video. I'm Ava, and this is Pretty Perspective by Ava. This has literally been my cycle forever. High school, it was always like motivated to get my grades back up, and then 2 weeks later I would just fall off again. And at the very end, I would pick myself back up because I knew that I could do it. This is how it's been my whole entire life. I get inspired, I start something, I stay strong, and I go all in. The gym, routines, goals. And for a while, I'm feeling great, and I'm like, I'm really about to change and about to get into this, and I'm not going back to how I used to be. But the thing that we need to learn is that motivation is emotional. It depends on how you feel, and your feelings are inconsistent. Once life gets hard, once I'm tired, once things aren't going as well as they used to be, that's when I stop. If you're going through the same thing that I was going through, then I definitely have some things to share with you guys, and how I myself I'm still in the process of it, but how I myself am becoming more disciplined versus just motivated. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is why motivation alone always will fail. Motivation always feels good, but obviously it's not reliable. You can't just rely on being motivated. It'll fade. Motivation will show up when things are new. Discipline will show up when things start feeling boring. Listen to that. With motivation, we want results fast. We want it now. And with discipline, you understand time. You understand it's going to take time to get to your end goal. It's going to take effort. It's not just going to be easy, not just going to be snap your fingers. Motivation, people, we don't really get that, you know? And I had to accept something with myself, is that I don't struggle with obviously wanting things, but I struggle with showing up when I don't feel like it. And I feel like I can relate to a lot of people when I say that. Let's talk about what discipline actually is, because some people might not even know what it is. So I used to think that discipline meant being harsh, like robotic, meant being very strict, you know? The only way that you'll pass through that motivation phase is with discipline. You need discipline to stay motivated. That's why discipline is actually just a promise to yourself. I started thinking about it like that, and I was like, discipline is doing the thing when no one is watching, when no one sees. It's doing it when you don't feel like it. Not perfectly, just consistent. Discipline will always be quiet. It's not motivating, but it works. It works. Another thing is, how do discipline and motivation work together? So what I've learned is that they're not enemies, like they're not separate. Basically, motivation starts like the fire, and discipline keeps it burning, pretty much. For me, a lot of times, I don't have the discipline, so the fire doesn't keep burning. This is a really stupid way to put it, but I'm trying to explain it to the best of my ability. Discipline keeps the fire burning. For me, it's like motivation, and then it's just like the fire's gone. You know what I mean? But when you think of discipline as just an everyday, normal thing, and stop making it such a humongous deal, and stop making it, oh, like, I have to do this a certain way, I have to make sure everything is perfect, I have to whatever. Once you stop focusing on perfecting things and just letting things be how they are instead of perfecting it so much. I feel like that's why I struggle with discipline too. I'm a very much perfectionist, and I try and perfect a lot of things. And when it's not perfect, every single time, it'll start fading over time. And that's where discipline also falls off in another way. You need motivation to actually know what you want, but you need discipline to actually get it. Because motivation will always fade. Always, without a doubt. It'll always fade. And discipline is what you build before motivation leaves. Discipline is what carries you through the days that you don't feel inspired. Discipline is that 9-to-5 job that you're working right now that you are praying to get out of. You go to that every single day. You go to that every single day because you know that's making you money. Okay, so just think. You want the money, right? Think about the same way. You want the body. If you can be disciplined in one part in your life, you can be disciplined in another part. You want the body, and you're already doing it for the money. So why can't you be disciplined to do it for your body too? You can. It's you what needs to change. You are the only thing that's holding yourself back. And this is what I have to tell myself too. We are the only people that are holding ourselves back. Listen to that. Take that in. Because when you really think about that, it's like, damn, what am I doing? Why am I holding myself back from this life that I want, that I dream about? And I can actually take these steps to achieve it, but I'm just not doing it because I don't feel like it, because there's no more motivation, and I don't feel like getting up. No. We need to get up. We need to get up. We need to be disciplined. Motivation gone, whatever, okay? We're disciplined. Just because the motivation is gone doesn't mean we're going with it. No. We're staying right there because we are disciplined. I myself have struggled with discipline in so many parts of my life, with my body, with my routines, with my habits, my consistency. And it was never because I didn't care. It was always just based on how I felt. Like if I wanted to do it in the moment, then I would go all in and be like, we're staying on top of this, we're doing it. And if I didn't feel motivated, I didn't show up. But the thing is, discipline doesn't ask you how you feel. It asks who you're trying to be, who you're trying to become. It doesn't care about how you feel in the moment. Discipline, it's not a feeling, it's a action, it's an everyday thing that needs to be taken. It's not something that goes away. It's something that stays with you. So some things that I'm doing differently now. I stopped asking myself, do I feel like doing this today? I stopped saying, do I feel like doing this today? And instead, I started asking, what would the highest version of myself be doing today? What would the version of me that I want to be do today? Simple as that. And when you think about it like that, you're like, like I want to become my highest self. Why am I stopping myself from doing that when I can literally achieve it with no help? Just with myself. Why would I stop myself from doing that? Why would you stop yourself from doing that? Ask yourself that question. Why are you stopping yourself from living your dream life? Seriously, ask yourself that question. Because I've definitely asked myself, I don't know, why would I be doing that? That's exactly the thing. I don't know. So don't. It's in your hands. Your life is in your hands. That simple. Period, point blank. Give yourself smaller promises, fewer rules, and more follow through. You don't need to do everything in the very, very beginning. You're just starting off. I think that's another thing we always try to conquer. When we get that motivation, or we try to do everything all at one time. And obviously that's never going to work. It's just like me. For example, when I wanted to start off doing all this, I was trying to do everything at one time. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, everything. And that's just not, it's not realistic. Because you need to start off small. Start off with one thing. Pick one thing that you can start off with and say, okay, I'm going to start with this. Once that starts going, once you start getting better at that, once you start doing that more, whatever, then down the line you can say, okay, I'm feeling really good with this. I want to start on the next thing. But when you do everything all at once in the very beginning, that is literally how you burn yourself out. That's what leads to burnout. That's what leads to a crash and fall. And that is not what leads to discipline. Okay? Discipline grows when you stop quitting on yourself. Discipline also builds self-trust. Every time you say you'll do something and you don't, every time you start something and then stop and don't follow through, you break trust with yourself. And this is what teaches us that our word doesn't mean anything. If you don't even believe what you're saying, why should someone else believe what you're saying? Think about that. If you're trying to convince someone of something, but you don't even believe what you're saying, why would someone else? If you don't trust yourself and don't do what you say you do, why would someone else trust you? To have discipline, you need to build self-trust. Every time you follow through with something, you build back trust. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about self-respect. Oof, I can't even say that enough. And honestly, I'm tired of not trusting myself. And you should be too. And I'm gonna give you guys another reality check. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. You will obviously fail. You can't expect to be perfect, and you can't punish yourself for not being perfect. And I still very, very much have days where I don't want to do anything and I don't want to be disciplined. But the difference now is I don't quit completely when that happens. Honestly, I just come back faster. So, no one is perfect. You will have days, obviously, where you just can't that day. And you know what? That's okay. But if you can't and then the next day you're like, oh, I can't again, that's where the discipline needs to come back, because that's when it starts to fall off. With all of this being said, motivation will always come and go. Discipline is what stays. You don't need to wait for motivation. You need to decide on who you're becoming and act accordingly. Even on the boring days, actually, especially on the boring days, this is literally me learning in real time as I'm talking to you guys. Especially on the boring days, those are the days that you really need to show up for yourself. This is literally me learning discipline in real time. I'm not trying to preach to you guys. I'm also growing. And we're all learning together. And if you're in the same place as me, if you're learning just like me, and if you like what I talk about, this is my channel and I'll be posting more videos just like this one. So you should definitely subscribe. You're not behind. You're just learning. Thank you guys for watching.